I thought I would pop on here today and continue with this conversation I've been having about radical honesty, spiritual accountability, really owning your own bullshit, whatever you want to call it. Several of you have written to me, texted me, sent me private messages about this. So I wanted to talk a little bit about it on here. As you all know, I speak a lot of non-duality, dualistic terms, but I'm also really conscious of that and aware that I don't want anyone to take anything from this channel as dogma. What I found in the Advaita community can be harmful if you're not cautious. And what I mean by that is there is still some earnestness or willingness that's required. You look back at any of the old masters who have really accomplished this space, and each of them will say the same thing. There seems to be this area within the experiencer or avatar or no self, whatever you want to call it, that is still one foot in this life and the other foot in the other, for lack of better terms. And although it's not a doership, and although I truly still believe there's no free will and that this is all part of our soul plan, I also think there's a level of earnestness and willingness to look at what's going on, to notice, to unravel, to be aware, to continuously be in that inquiry. It's very easy to slip back into the 3D and make that your whole universe, your whole world. It takes earnestness and willingness to be still enough to do this inner work. It doesn't just happen by default. It is a continual noticing, inquiring, rinse, repeat process. The ones willing to do that, the one, is for betterment of not only themselves and this human condition, but for that of the world. Those who have slipped down that track of there's nothing to do, there's nothing to say, there's nothing to be, that's just bypassing in my mind. Nothing right or wrong in it, and there's no finger pointing or blame here. But since I've been so honest with you guys, I'm going to continue to do so. This is a continual process here. Looking at our own bullshit is the biggest stage of that process. Again, words don't point to this well. So don't get hung up on process or tools or things I'm pointing to. You're just turning it into another dogma, another teaching. I refuse to do the slippery slope on my channel. I've always been raw, I've always been vulnerable, and I've always been open. So if this triggers you and you feel the need to correct me in non-dualistic language, this isn't the channel for you. I share openly and rawly here, not to get accolades or likes, not to be the most popular video, not to get all the interviews. Those are byproducts and they're beautiful, and I appreciate every one of them. I share because the sharing happens. And several of you report that it benefits you and assists you in your own journey. The bullshit, the patterns, the conditioning, the belief systems, those things the avatar, the no self, the nothingness seems to adopt or adapt and take as their own must be unraveled. This we probably will all agree to. For emptiness to come, however, oftentimes it needs to be met. And the more that it's met, the more it leans into you. That which you are seeking is seeking you. Whether you call it God, emptiness, nothingness, no thingness, source, universe, love, I don't care what you call it. I do believe every seeming incarnation soul gets to experience this, even if it's in the last breaths in this apparent incarnation. But some aspire or feel inspired to collaborate with that and are willing to be still enough to hear that inner guidance. And I feel blessed that I'm one of those. I don't see it hierarchically above anyone else or in advancement of where anyone else is. I see it as a willingness. My willingness to love this avatar, to give it the self-love it needs, deserves, and is warranted to have this openness, this emptiness occur in its experience. And that's what I share. If it resonates, fabulous. If it doesn't, let it pass you by. I will not tiptoe over language here. This is authentic, radical honesty, and it's all I choose to live anymore. Every single thing inquired upon, every moment, a moment for me to meet this over and over and over and over again, seemingly with and through you and others, yet knowing none of that is even true. Yet it's afforded to me. I use it as the parameter to see where I am, the gauge, the variable. Why wouldn't we? It's been afforded to us. If something icky comes into the sphere, I don't run from it. I dive in. If there's a wound, I don't put a plaster on it and try and just move forward. I dive into the wound. I meet it where it meets me over and over. And that's the deliciousness in the pain, in the wound, in the thing that we think needs to be avoided, even by using language which thinks it knows better than this. Much love. Until next time.